Well, this is some of the most challenging weather that us YouTubers get, when it just rains and rains and rains. And it's been raining now for about 4 days, and it's starting again now. And I noticed this morning, regardless of the fact that I keep cropping these, that they're just getting enormous. And if I'm not careful, I'll end up with some marrows. So I just need to make sure I keep on top of them. And Mrs. K is doing an awful lot of innovation with courgette meals. And well, we've had courgette soup, we've had courgette pancakes, and she's looking at making courgette cakes. So I'll just keep picking them. If I don't, we'll have had it and they'll be turning into marrows. So let's just keep looking. There's another one here. It's amazing how much fruit comes off these plants. There's another 2. Right, well that's 2, 4, 6. I'll let the others carry on. Haha, just as I was walking away, I noticed another giant. Let's get in here and see if we can get this one. There we go. I don't think there are any more in here, although the leaves are covering things up. So, no, I think all the others can carry on growing for a bit. Well, I'm going to show you what's happening to my Hugelkultur bed, because I've had a request to sort of give a bit of an update. I can't say it's particularly good, but it's worth sharing. And you may notice every time I go through here, I have to dodge these apples now. There's a bit of weight on them. I think I might have to thin them a little bit more because they're starting to come on now. But anyway, let me show you the bed. So here we are, this is it. And well, it's not been a great success. Well, I suppose it depends which way you look at it. So my intention was to create this bed of Hugelkultur and grow herbs in it. And well, I've had some success, but a lot of things have happened. So let me just take you through. So first of all, I grew this dill, which I wanted to stand up and well, look good against the coop, but to be honest, it's fallen over very quickly. And I think that's because the root system is so small. Let's have a few of these out. There's another one. That root system's a bit better. I'll give this to the chickens because I think they'll enjoy it. And that's the same. And well, that's not really worked out as I'd expected. And in amongst this, I've also got coriander. And the coriander went to seed very quickly. And you can see it's covered in seed there. And I could wait and collect that seed, but I've got plenty. So I'm not going to do that. Let's get those out. There's another one here. And well, if I work my way through and remove all that, we'll be able to see what else is happening. So let's get it out. Some of this is arugula, or as we like to call it in the UK, rocket. And I'll remove that as well, because that's certainly not at the point where we can do anything useful with it now. There's another dill, which looks pretty, but didn't do what I wanted it to do. So we'll give that another go next time. I've got a stinging nettle in here, I think. Oh no, that's rocket. Here's the stinging nettle. Try and get all those roots out, because if you leave them in, they just spread and become a problem. And that's that one out. And what else have we got that needs to be removed? Another stinging nettle here. Okay, that's got all the stuff that's blocking out what else has happened. Oh, there's another dill, which fell over. So what does that leave? Well, strangely enough, it leaves quite a lot of plants. And they're not plants that I planted, they're plants that have propagated from the material that I put into the Hugelkultur bed. And I put a lot of rotting wood and old wood in here, which is consistent with what you should do. But I also put a lot of clippings in, and they were clippings of privet and clippings of blackcurrant bushes. So what have we got here? Well, we've got quite a lot of privet growing, and we've got quite a lot of blackcurrants growing. And I guess if you wanted to grow blackcurrants, you'd say that this was an out and out success, because there's certainly about 15 to 20 new plants here. But to be honest with you, I've got plenty of blackcurrants, so all these are really surplus to requirements. I'm not looking at starting to grow more privet. The whole back of the allotment has got privet bushes on it, or privet trees nearly. So these are not particularly useful to me. In here, this is a weed that grows out of the back of the coop. In here we've got the rosemary that I planted, and the advice was put it into a pot, and it's done really, really well. So I'm delighted with that. Thanks for the advice for that one. And I've got a dock leaf which needs to come out. We need to get the roots on that one, which I've got. And there's another one, and there's another one, and that's a stinging nettle. And I've got these Welsh onions, which they just sort of, well, self-propagate and divide. So I'm just going to leave those in there. There's another dock in there. So the decision I really have to make is, what do I do about these privet and blackcurrant? And given that I wanted a Hugelkultur bed to grow herbs, they're just not really necessary. So I've got a couple of choices. I can either work my way down in and take them out, and they'll be basically on a piece of wood. Let's see where this one goes. And there you are. So there's the blackcurrant on the piece of wood which the clipping which I put in there. And I think, to be honest, I'm going to clear all of these out, and I may just keep a couple of these and plant them up just in case anybody wants them. And let's pull out one of these privets and see what that looks like too. Now that one's broken off, so that's not a problem. Yeah, I mean, that gives you some sort of idea. That's a huge piece of wood that's under there, and it's just covered in shoots from privet. So it's going to have to come out, unfortunately. That will disrupt other things. But there you are, look at that. So that's covered in shoots. That one piece of wood. And that would be a fantastic piece of wood to put into the ground if you were starting a hedge, because it would be shooting up everywhere. So I'm going to have to work my way through this, well, rather failed Hugelkultur bed, and just take out the stuff that's shooting and, well, not start again, but allow it to go through the winter, and hopefully it'll rot down a bit, and we'll have another crack next year, and hopefully things will stop sprouting and I'll be able to plant into it more successfully. But it's been a great experiment. I've enjoyed it. I can see that there's an awful lot of those shoots. It may be that I just have to keep picking them and getting rid of them, and then they'll gradually rot down with a bit of luck. We'll see. If you know whether that'll be the case, whether just removing the shoots will successfully eventually result in it dying back and doing what it's supposed to do, which is rot away, then let me know, put it in the comments below. Because my Hugelkultur experience, well, as you can see, is extremely limited. But I have enjoyed it. It's been a fun experiment, and it's always good to try something different. So if you're thinking about it, have a go. But my advice from my experience is make sure the wood is good and rotten before you start. So let's take out a few of these extra apples. So I'm going to remove the smallest ones in any groups in the interest of leaving some of the bigger ones to get on and develop and hopefully get a bit bigger than they did last year, which, to be honest, was not particularly big. And there are some that I thinned out earlier on a few weeks back, and they've certainly proven that they can grow on a bit thicker and a bit fatter, which is what I want. And there's plenty of these groups with extras in. I'll give these to the chickens, they might want them, and we'll see. That's looking a bit better. I need to work my way around the rest of the tree. You'll have seen me earlier on in my videos putting my strawberries that I finished with down into this area. I just wanted to show you how they were coming along. So these are first year plants that I grew from and harvested some strawberries from in the polytunnel, and when they finished I brought them out here, and I've left some in the baskets, which is the first time I've done this, and they're all looking so healthy. This one's looking a little brown in places, but that's fine. But what it's showing is that the plant is getting more and more robust, and these that I took out of the baskets and transferred into these troughs, equally they're looking great, and there's lots of new growth in there, and these are going to come on nicely, and it'll be very interesting to see whether keeping them in the baskets will just save me an enormous lot of work early next year. And of course I'll have to feed those because it won't all be fresh. This one was also doing really well, that one not so much, but we'll see how we go with them. All in all, they're doing well. So I've got to the point where the health and vigour of these squash and pumpkins is so great that I think I'm going to start to terminate some of the ends of these runners. And what I'm looking for is just to make sure I've got some fruit set and pumpkins growing or squash growing, and then I can put an end to some of the lateral growth and let the focus go in to growing into the pumpkin. And I'm just looking for those fruits, and most of these really vigorous ones here haven't actually got any fruit on them. This has got one that started. Let me get a bit further down. Gotta be careful, don't just tread on them. And in here again, nothing yet, which is a bit disappointing, but there's plenty of time. Oh, there is one on here, but it is very yellow. Looks healthy, so I don't know. But let me have a look down here, see where this frond is going. And it's really running away. Well, I'm going to leave those because I can't see enough fruit. And the same goes for that one. All this lateral growth here probably will come to nothing. And it's just important to make sure that you don't end up with one massive plant with nothing on it. So now's the time, in my personal view, to arrest the growth. Now we've got a massive one there. I'm going to take him out about there. And it's even growing into my next door neighbour's plot. So there we go. That should stem the lateral growth for a while. Isn't it great when you find a plant that, well, you really enjoy growing, it does well for you in your conditions or your growing style. And these dwarf cherry tomatoes are absolutely amazing, and that is laden with fruit. And I'm going to grow these again. This is called House, and this is available, or was last year, from Real Seeds, which is based in West Wales and therefore is always a good provider for me given that I live in that area. And there's just so many tomatoes on them, and they ripen from the centre in my experience. So just keep turning them around and moving them about. And this one's got so long it really needs staking up, but I'm leaning it actually, and I'm going to just pick a load of these. And some of them are only just turning, but as soon as you get them in the house, which is ironic because they're called house, you get a little bit of warmth on them from indoors and they ripen through very, very quickly. And every one is just a sweet explosion of sweetness and flavour. So definitely a winner as far as I'm concerned. I can see there's quite a lot of dead material in there now. I've just got to be careful that it doesn't promote any rot or fungus of any description. So whilst I'm in there picking, I'm just going to take away anything that's foliage that's looking a little bit, well, fungusy or withered. So I think that's all of those. And I grew 5 of these plants, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. Have I lost one? No, 4 of these plants. And that is, well, plenty really, because at the moment there is a supply of these little red tomatoes almost every single day. And I picked them, I think 2 days ago, and I'm going to end up now with a huge crop again. There's one there with a bit of rot on it. I need to keep removing them. So I'll get on and pick those, and then I'll show you the peppers. Peppers are doing nicely. Keep needing to take off these dead leaves just to get them out of the way, just to make sure I don't get any fungal growth or damage to them. But I think you can pretty well see that they're quite prolific. This is King of the North, and it's absolutely laden with small peppers at the moment, and they will just get bigger and bigger. But there are so many on these plants, I'm going to have to start propping them up, I think, a bit better with some canes. This is Semero, which is an early sweet pepper, and again I think you can see it's absolutely laden, and you could eat these now or just allow them to get a bit bigger. I think this one down here is a Semero, and they're much riper. So let's get in and show you. Let's just check. Yeah, so this is Semero, and you can see, get a little bit of splitting on them, but you can see how they turn red. That plant will get bigger and bigger as the season goes on, but these are particularly full of peppers, even that one at the back, which is a bit smaller. And then this is Hugelkultur paprika. That's a completely different style of pepper. You can see there's plenty on there that are ready, and that's sweet paprika, delicious. And this is the do.Growing, and these take a little bit longer. They do get very substantial, and you can see them there. There's plenty of them, and they are fantastic for just cutting in half and frying, and make a lovely meal or starter in no time at all using that method. So peppers have been tremendously successful, which is fantastic. Now the basil is over, so we cropped the basil a few days ago, and that's been put in oil and frozen. So we put it into like an ice cube tray and freeze it, and then we can add that oil and basil mixture into any meals that we like. The cucumber, absolutely covered in flowers, and it's got quite a lot of fruit on there. Here's one that I could pick, to be honest with you, but we've got a cucumber in the house at the moment, so don't need to. But as you can see, it's laden with flowers and got quite a few growing fruits on it now. I think there's probably 4 or 5 there that will be growing in no time. There's another one there. So we're going to have lots and lots of cucumbers out of 2 plants, far more than we actually need, but we can give some away, of course. Well, the tomatoes are slow to ripen, and that's mainly because of the amount of overcast and rainy weather we're having. We're getting some ripening going on there, which is good to see. And these plum tomatoes, gosh, there's some massive plum tomatoes in here. They're just starting to change from that deep green. So fingers crossed these will ripen all right. I haven't had too much problems with damage on them since that early period where I was getting blossom end rot, but I have been adding that calcium carbonate to them, see if I can arrest that problem. But so far so good. And even this extra plant that I put in has got a few tomatoes on it, which is nice. So hopefully we'll get a reasonable crop out of the tomatoes this year, on top of the Latar, which is pretty much over now, but has been fantastic. Here you can see there's just one or two still on it, and they're such low growing and awkward looking plants, but they've been fantastic, absolutely delicious and reasonably prolific, and they're the ones that are going into the bed next year. I do hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, click the subscribe button, click the like button, and if you want updates from me each time I upload a video, click the bell and select all. I do hope you have a great day. Diolch yn fawr.